Hello again, and welcome to American Top 40. My name's Kasem, and I'm all set to count down the 40 most popular songs in the USA. Billboard magazine ranks them according to record sales and radio airplay. And this week, we've got lots of chart action, including a first. 2 remakes that debut this week, both originally done by the same artist. We'll find out as we count them down.
Number 40.
Leading off, the first of our 6 debuts. It's by a duo from London who have hit the American chart 3 times before, but never quite made it to the top 40. This time, they finally do it. At number 40, here's Go West with Don't Look Down, the sequel.
You're listening to American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens, and now we're up to a hit inspired by personal persistence. That's the story of the English duo from London called Go West. They're the singing and songwriting team of Peter Cox and Richard Drummie. Go West's debut album 3 years ago did pretty well, and it gave them a top 40 hit called Don't Look Down, the sequel. But their second album went nowhere, and the duo switched to a new record company. They kept working on new songs, waiting for another breakthrough, and then some months back, Richard and Peter were here in Los Angeles sitting around a swimming pool with another English songwriter named Martin Page. They were talking about the career ups and downs of Go West, and Richard remembers that day. He says, "I was saying it had taken quite a while to get things straightened out, but we'd be all right, because we're kings of wishful thinking." Well, Peter looked at Richard, and then they both looked at Martin. Peter said, "Now that's an interesting phrase." Well, the 3 men turned it into a positive love song. Go West recorded it for the Pretty Woman soundtrack and put their careers back on track with their second top 40 hit. At number 24 this week on AT40, here's those kings of wishful thinking, Go West.
American Top 40.
I'm Shadoe Stevens, and the duo with a debut at 32 once held a contest for high schools in the San Francisco Bay Area, and first prize was a concert from these 2 guys. And all the students had to do was send in the most 3x5 postcards to the station sponsoring the contest. El Camino High won with about 1.5 million entries. But what really stunned these guys was the total amount of entries from all of the high schools. 7.5 million entries. Go West told us about it.
Well, I'm not exactly sure that it was 7.5 million.
It's 7.5 million
entries.
cards.
I think that, I think the kids were like writing them out as fast as they could, each kid writing out like 100, 200 cards or something, I don't know. But it was, we went to have a look at the cards when they took them all away to the refuse place.
Well, we didn't believe it, basically. We thought it was a record company
so we went to have a look and sit on this mountain of cards and have our picture taken.
Number 15.
Climbing 3 notches are Peter Cox and Richard Drummie, a pair of musicians from the English town of Twickenham. They met 17 years ago at a local club, and they've been making music together ever since. Here are Peter and Richard, the duo Go West with Faithful.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Richard Drummie and Peter Cox from Go West.
Hey, Shadoe, how about a hit holiday through time, an AT40 flashback?
We can even go east if you'd like a change of pace.
Hello there, we're Go West.
If you've got a question about the charts or would like to make a long-distance dedication, don't go away.
We'll be back to give you the American Top 40 address in a little while.
Back to back.
Beat to beat.
What you say? Back to back.
Beat to beat.
Say what? American Top 40. Oh.
Hi, this is Go West again.
Here's that AT40 address. If you want to write with chart questions or long-distance dedications, you can send it to
Shadoe Stevens, American Top 40, Post Office Box 2000, Hollywood, California 90028, USA. That's Box 2000, Hollywood, California 90028.
Back to you, Shadoe.
Thanks, guys. The first hit in 2 years for Go West is here at number 3. It's called Faithful.
American Top 40.
It was almost 9 years ago that these 2 guys from England were actually flown to America by their record company just to listen to the radio. Sound like a weird idea? Well, looking back, Go West think it was a really good one.
Very educational. Great to, inspire you. I mean, the culture shock thing and MTV and 100 radio stations, you can change one from another when you're just driving down the street. It's really, for someone from England who hasn't experienced any of those things, really fired us up.
Yeah, I mean,
a great idea.
I was just completely hyperactive when I got back to England. And it's amazing we do it now. We'll write a song in England and it'll sound different here. And when we travel around now, like we were in New York a couple of days ago, I play all our songs in New York to see what they sound like in New York. It's hard to describe, but
he's always been a strange guy.
Songs do sound different in different places.
American Top 40!
As the American Top 40 with the Shadow, how faithful are you in your relationship? That's the idea behind the latest hit at number 22 for Go West. Peter Cox talked a little bit about it and about songwriting with his partner, Richard Drummey.
I think that since we tend to write the lyrics together, the songs are not often really about personal experience. Faithful is not about, it's more of a universally identifiable situation. Everyone has at some time or another had to leave their loved one and reassure them that, it's going to be okay and I'll be back. And so when you're writing a pop song, part of the idea is hopefully to come up with an idea that the listener is going to be able to identify with. That's why so many people write love songs, because everyone wants to be in love.
Hello, we're Go West. I'm Richard.
I'm Peter.
Shadoe has an AT40 sneak peek on the way.
I have a story for you now about the top English duo on the chart right now. About 20 years ago, in a little English town of Twickenham, Richard Drummey and Peter Cox were in two different local bands, both trying to sound like the same English rock band, very popular back then, a band called Free. If you remember, they had one big hit, now a rock classic. It was called All Right Now. Richard told us, we did a gig and the local paper reviewed us. Peter saw it and thought, wow, I better go down and see them. And Peter brought along a tape of his own music and played it for them. Richard thought it was great, and that was all it took. They quickly became good friends and soon formed the group Cox and Drummey. As Richard says, a real inspired name. So how did they get their current name? Well, they tried all sorts of names, but it seemed like all the good ones were taken. And then one day, Peter was joking around about what would happen next for them, and he said, "Go west, young man. Go on an adventure and make your future." Well, 15 years into the band's future, they have their fourth top 40 hit at number 36. Here's Go West, and what you won't do for love.
Hi, this is Peter Cox and Richard Drummey. We are Go West.
And this is the radio show everybody knows, American Top 40.
Shadoe will be right back with this week's music news.
American Top 20.
Well, now we're up to an American Top 20 Extra. It's a smash by a duo whose first professional job was as a human jukebox. Back in the early 80s, Peter Cox and Richard Drummey were struggling musicians in London desperately trying to land a music gig. But they were turned down by one club after another. And then they met a club owner who had come up with the concept of a pop music challenge. He was looking for an act that knew hundreds and hundreds of different pop songs. The idea was that the audience would throw out requests, and the act would be able to play any songs on request. If they didn't know the song, the club would give the customer a free drink. Well, Peter and Richard knew a lot of songs, and they spent a week learning a lot of others. For a full year, they were practically a human jukebox, a job they say they came to hate so much, they decided they would either make it with their own music or give up the business altogether. It took a while, but by 1985, they finally landed a record deal with Chrysalis Records, and that put them in the game, playing their own music. Now, as an American Top 20 Extra, here's a duo called Go West with their biggest hit to date, a Top 10 smash from 1990 called King of Wishful Thinking.
Casey's goes to